Okay, we'll call the meeting to order today. First thing is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like to have the first item on consent removed. I know we're going to have Kathy coming here today. I just have a question on this whole Wapton School District thing.
Well, okay, we'll move that down to,
I'll move to approve with the change.
Second.
okay, the agenda item will move down to 3A there, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Citizens to be heard, is there someone here to speak to something? That we know, okay. Payment of the bills and vouchers,
Move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We got the minutes from September 27th that we need to approve.
Move approval.
Got a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The first thing, acceptance of $1,000 grant from West Central Initiative. Early Childhood Intervention Committee to host an emergency preparedness event for child care providers. Who's taking that, or?
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming that, based on, I think, discussion that we had a while back, we just wanted to see these things where we receive funds, not be just put on the consent agenda, but to be publicly recognized. So I would move that we accept the
I'll second the motion,
funds.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, this is the acceptance of a $1,000 grant from the West Central Initiative for Early Childhood Intervention Committee to host an emergency preparedness event for child care providers. Okay, so we got a motion to recognize them for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I suggest we go down to number 4.
number 4.
Joe is here.
Joe's here. Let's take Joe.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Joe.
So my overall goal today is to seek approval to go ahead and finish the basement up from the leak that we had a few weeks back. And what I did is I went out and I got 2 quotes to finish the basement. One of them was from Ramco Industries and the other one was from Delta Design. Ramco came in lower at $36,635. And I had noted in my memo that and I'd like to move forward with them as a Delta Design came in at $59,891. So I would like to move forward with them, Ramco Industries, to finish the basement off. But I wanted to explain a little bit. I know I wrote in my memo to you that insurance was going to be covering $8,666, but I wanted I think when this leak did happen, we met as a building committee and we had decided that there were some issues that needed to be taken care of that were above and beyond the leak. So I wanted to, the $8,666 is that's part of the MCIT, but the $27,969 that the county is gonna, their cost, that'll be above and beyond. So that's gonna be, I just wanted to make that note that the insurance did cover the amount that we thought that we should be getting to.
Okay. And I know at our committee meeting, we know that we're going to plan on fixing a few things up.
Yes.
After that. So
Yes.
make it more waterproof and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. We're using a lot more waterproof materials, and a good example, we're finishing off the attorney's area with tile because that always gets wet. And so all that is above and beyond, and there's some cleanup work that we're doing, and we're just cleaning the whole basement area up. So there are some other issues as far as that me and Brian are working with MCIT on as far as what they're going to cover on the cleanup part of it. But the majority of the cleanup part has been covered as well through MCIT. So we were going to come back and update after we work things out with them. So.
Okay. Jenny?
I just had a question in regards to the law library that
Yep.
we talked about changing. Does the relocation of the law library have anything in this bid?
No.
Okay.
No, we finished, that's proposed to get moved to the training room, and we finished that off as if we weren't moving anything, but just happens that that was a good fit.
Okay.
So once this is all done, then I'll be working with Brian and Jenny to put a plan together. So that's kind of like a second phase
Right,
project that's going to
right.
happen after this. so.
Thank you.
Yep. So,
Okay.
Joe, where's the $27,969 coming from?
okay, so by using Ramco Industries, the total project that we're going to be doing to finish this off is at $36,635. So a portion of this project was still covered through some of the damages that happened, and MCIT is covering that $8,666. So we're taking that money off the price of the total project cost. So the county cost is going to actually be $27,966.
Yeah, but where are we getting that money from?
That's all coming in the form of a check from MCIT.
No.
No, the 27,000.
Oh, the 27,000. Oh, where are we gonna, okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna take that out of Fund 13. That's our building improvement fund.
Okay.
Every year, I think we put 50,000 in for paint, carpet, and everything else, so.
Okay.
This really falls under a real, it's actually turned into a building improvement.
Okay, and you had that available? for
Yeah, right now,
2000.
we're roughly at 100,000 right now for the year, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
It's all been through committee, and Joe, you've done a great job with your staff, and we really appreciate it. And Mr. Chair, I so move we go ahead with what Joe has in front of us.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Joe.
All right, thanks, and I'll update you soon.
Ms. McKay. And Troy. Good morning. We're looking at filling 3 positions in detox, just for you.
Good morning. The first bit of information is that we do have all approvals for a 16-bed detox facility. We received those last week, so we are now able to take 16 clients as needed. We got approval from the Minnesota Department of Health and the Department of Human Services, so we're good to go there. So our request is for the positions, as you see on the form, is the lead RN. She is going to be just variable hour. She's working in another facility, so she's resigning from her full-time position. And then we met with Brian and Darren in regards to the additional staff based on the 16-bed facility. So we're requesting a full-time RN, and what we can do with that is we did have a .8 budgeted LPN. It's a difference in salary, but in lieu of filling that, we thought it was imperative to have the full-time RN. The lead RN can only cover so many hours, and so we'll need the full-time RN to cover the additional call and the oversight. So there will be additional costs with that, of course, because the LPN and the RN are on different grade scales. But we talked through that. And then the 24-hour technician, that was already budgeted as well in our 2017 budget. So we're requesting to fill that position as well instead of the variable hours that we are using significantly. You can see the contracts that we currently receive. The Otter Tail one is still pending, but we have not heard back from them as of yet. So we still anticipate that they're going to enter into that contract. They've been a little bit lapse on responding about that one, but we should hear shortly.
How long have you been waiting for the response?
I sent it in August, and I did get an acknowledgement that they had discussed it initially when they received it, and then I think it got placed on the back burner for other things that they were working on. So I did get a response, was it last week, Troy? In regards to that they realized that they have let it slide a little bit, so they're going to work on it when their Human Services Director got back from vacation, which should have been this week.
What was their, what's their contract for?
They were willing to purchase 2 beds.
2 beds, okay.
That's our hope anyway. That was the contract.
So you have 16 beds now that
Correct.
are available? So will that help relieve some? You've had some issues with not being able to accept clients, haven't you?
Yep.
That should
Help alleviate
help,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
Good.
The, Kathy, I'm assuming that with these contracts, additional revenue will help pay for this position?
Right. That's certainly our hope. You know, Southeast Contract has been great, and they provide they send a lot of clients to our facility, as well as the other contract for Fargo. But the purchase of 2 beds for Otter Tail will be beneficial as well, if they so agree to enter into that contract. We still serve those clients throughout. We have a number of them from the other outlying counties in Minnesota.
So if there's, excuse me, if there's no contract, we still bill them though, don't we?
Correct. That's
Is
correct.
Is that a different rate than through a contract?
No, it's at the same rate. All of our contracts are still
Why-
at the same.
What's the advantage then of having a contract?
It guarantees them the
That's the only
2
difference.
beds. Mhm. Correct. If we did different rates for the contracts, we would, need to address that with all 3 contracts we
So,
have.
if I can, because this kind of ties into something else that we do through, which you're familiar with contracts, with counties and beds. And so if Otter Tail were to buy 2 beds, do you save 2 beds for them at all times then? So no, so they can't,
Yes.
if nobody's using them, they don't get used by anybody else, or?
Correct.
Okay.
Because they're paying for the beds, and because we have such a limited number, they requested that we save those 2 beds as long as they're purchasing those.
Okay, I just wanted to know how that was being handled, because we've got some issues in other areas.
Sure.
Because if they don't sign the contract, then you can use those 2 beds.
Correct.
Right.
That's correct. And they would still send us, they closed their facility in Fergus Falls, so they would still utilize our facility.
Okay. What do we take each one separately? Want to take the nurse separate?
I'll make a motion to approve the full-time request.
Second.
Any discussion of that? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we've got the nurse position.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move the second item on Kathy's agenda, 24-hour week.
Okay. Got a motion for a 24-hour week technician that was
Second.
budgeted, and we've got a second. Any discussion of that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also move that we refill the lead RN position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next thing we've got, Kathy, as long as you're here, we took off the agenda, the WAP within public school, the pre-approved strategy that you had on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I asked that be taken off of consent because I am not familiar of why we're being involved with a North Dakota, where we're providing grant funding to a North Dakota organization. I guess I don't understand why we're doing that.
I apologize. This was through my SHIP and CWG group, so I'm not familiar with, I would have to say I'm not familiar with what they're going to be providing there. I mean, they talk about the equipment for nursing moms and staff activity, but I'm not sure about the Wapaton Public Schools, so I'll have to research that and
can you
get back to you.
clar-
Or I can make a call over to one of my
Maybe you
ship
can even
people.
do that while we're doing some other
Sure,
things.
the meeting.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
And come back to it.
Absolutely.
I just,
Sure, that's a good question. I apologize, I'm not familiar with that official one.
it would,
so-
yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely, no, I'd be happy to get that information for you.
This is
Okay.
this is what we got. Did you see?
Oh, yeah,
I
she
just gave it to him.
passed it to me, so I will call right away and get that information for you.
Great.
All righty,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, since Dave is not here and since 9 o'clock has not come up for the public hearing, Jenny, you want to give me a report?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Last week, I attended the Clay SWCD regular board meeting. We approved a cost share for well decommissioning over by Holly. We had updates from the NRCS office. Things seem to be moving forward with some cultural studies that they're working on before they can issue some contracts. There talked a little bit about the meeting that we had with them in regards to the district, or the extra dollars that the state of Minnesota has for the district capacity. Talked about if we were able to come up with additional dollars for budget, it was a one-time match by the state, so we talked about that. They talked a little bit about their state convention and ballots coming up. There will be, for the general election, a new board member for the SWCD. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes. There's a slight increase in price for the tree program for next year, but nothing that will be too terrible to absorb. And there were 625 acres in Clay County that are going into easements for CRP and Pheasants Forever. And that concludes my report.
Go ahead.
Let's see, I had Greater Fargo Economic Development Corporation Executive Committee meeting and had staff updates, and everything's going well there. I had a Beyond the Yellow Ribbon meeting and reports on various projects that are being done for veterans, and an update from our Clay County Veteran Service Office. They're extremely busy there and a lot of things going on. Let's see, what else? Oh, I had the Area Agency on Aging, the Dancing Sky meeting in East Grand Forks yesterday, and pretty much the same thing there, updates on funding for 2017, and everything seems to look like it's going well for continued funding for our senior programs for next year. Let's see, what else did I have? What else did I have? I knew I had
You
something.
forget things too?
I do, I forget. I'm having a, yeah. Diversion meeting, yeah. Had a couple diversion meetings last week, and
Just two?
I think Kevin will probably report on those. That was it for me.
Wayne?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Saturday, October 15th, for Lake Agassiz Regional Library, Northern Lights Library Network full board meeting. General business, we reviewed and accepted the 2016 audit, agreed to send for hope of publication the director's article, The Skills Media Specialists Impart to Students, to certain journals and publications. And then we went over several items pertinent to the Northern Lights Library Network. And that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Kevin?
Okay, last Tuesday, we had a juvenile detention, regional juvenile detention meeting to discuss the crowding issues that we have in that facility. And we're looking at alternative ways to reduce that, and we've got some ideas that we're doing some more research on for both short-term and long-term. And then that same day, Brian and I and Sheriff Berquist went over to M-State and talked to the student government about the sales tax referendum and explained to them the process of that and what it means to vote. And it was a very good turnout, and they had a lot of good questions, and it was kind of fun to be visiting with those college students. And they seemed that in the end they seemed to be supportive of what we were doing. Then on Wednesday, I had a public outreach meeting, and of course there was a lot of discussion, a public outreach meeting for the Diversion Authority, and there was a lot of discussion about the recent developments with the Minnesota DNR. As you can see, that's been in the media a lot recently based on their decision. There are still many presentations that are going on with educating about the diversion. And then the Diversion Authority meeting itself was held on Thursday. And primarily it was dealing with major issues in change orders and things with in-town levies that are being constructed on the Fargo side. And then we had a closed session on the legal issues. Then I did get a chance to, Mayor Williams and I and Councilmember Brenda Elmer, and some others met, the mayor of Fargo met with our local legislatures, Ken Deacon and Ben Lean, regarding the decision on the DNR, and they're working on some potential meetings coming up with the DNR to keep the dialogue open on that project. So there continues to be work done behind the scenes. Yesterday we had a business subsidy meeting, of which that's what we're going to be talking about today when we open up our EDA board meeting to discuss the business that's going to, they want the subsidy for that project in Sabin, so we'll hear about that shortly. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
My meeting this week was, yesterday, Rhonda Porter and Janelle and John and Steve Larson, we went to Grand Rapids yesterday we're looking at a transition home for our out-of-home replacement, and we went up there to look at their transition home, which gave us some good ideas on how we would want to plan if we were to go ahead with a project like that, what we would envision doing. But what really was good on the program, you were just talking about our juvenile detention center. They also gave us a tour of their juvenile detention center, and it is, it's set up like a school, almost like another school building up there, and it's just, this part's secure, this part's not secure, this is the female part, this is the male part, and it is very set up, it almost makes you think we got to start with our juvenile detention, just like we did with our jail project. We got to really plan ahead. They've got a good program up there, and if we want our program to work, that'd be a good one to fashion after, because they really got a good program up there. So we'll be discussing a lot more of that on our out-of-home replacement meeting next Thursday, I think it is. So it was really a good tour of the place. That was it for me. Still got 5 minutes. Darren, did you have any report for Brian or for yourself?
Sure, I have just a couple things. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're hot and heavy into open enrollment, of course. Everybody should have gotten their packets already. That's going to end on October 28th, so please get your packets back into HR before that time. I had a meeting with Lake Country Co-op yesterday down in Fergus Falls, just talking about some of the services that they provide down there and how they can improve their services to the counties and cities. We kind of went through a brainstorming session of some of the services that they may be able to add to benefit counties and cities. I had a meeting last week with the social worker unions, reference the overtime rules with their steward and their business agent, so I think that went fairly well. Ongoing personnel issues as always, and as you probably noticed, the parking lot north of the LEC is open now. We can park out there. They've started tearing up 8th Avenue here, so we'd like to let people know that if you're working in the courthouse or the LEC to kind of park over in that area, so it leaves some of these other spaces open for the Family Service Center. And that'll be an ongoing project. I think when I talked to Tom, the construction guy, he said they're looking at probably about a month for that 8th Avenue to be torn up, pending weather, of course. So that's all I have.
Okay. And with that, since it's not 9 o'clock, I'll take a motion to adjourn until that time.
Or recess.
Or recess.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to recess.
Okay, second? And seconds, all in favor? Aye. Okay, well, we can even, hearing at 9 o'clock. Okay, we'll reconvene Clay County Economic Development Authority meeting. Do we need a motion to open that up, or?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we open the hearing to discuss the business subsidy request from Bayer Crop Science.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Go ahead, Tim.
Mr. Chair, we haven't heard one of these for a while, since we had the Holly.
Eldorado, I think.
We had a couple of them at Holly a couple of years back.
There was a hotel, too.
Yeah, the hotel was the last one I think we heard. But anyway, Bayer Crop Science is looking at developing a new site just inside the city of Sabin. And they have requested a tax abatement from Clay County for the facility. It's a seed trades facility. I'll show you where it's at here. That's the general location. They have facilities in Clay County already because they've got one right over here. But they're looking to go down in that direction, just inside the city of Sabin, that parcel right there. The facility would consist of a couple of different buildings. One is an office processing building, and the other would be chemical storage and equipment barn on the site. Since they are in the city of Sabin, they will connect with the city services. This gives you an idea as to their connections are going in to the city of Sabin, this direction. The facility, Bayer Crop Science is a very large company. They're in the process right now, I believe, of buying out Monsanto, so they'll be an even larger company. They do have at least one facility in Clay County already. This would be a second facility operated by them. They're research facilities. The salaries that are being paid to their full-time employees are very good. You've got in your packet what the salary ranges are. Also, they do hire interns for very good intern rates during the summer months. So they'll have at least 3 full-time individuals at the site. Could be more in the near-term future. The entire facility is looking, not including property values, they're looking at about a $3.3 million investment at the site in their buildings and improvements. Nancy Gunderson went through and did an estimate of what the proposed taxes would be on the facility. The county share overall would, on an annual basis, would be somewhere in the $11,500 range. Of that, $9,000 of that tax is estimated to be the new improvements. So the $9,000 is the figure that we're working with our estimate of abatement. As Commissioner Campbell mentioned, the Business Subsidy Committee met yesterday to review this and to look at some of the scenarios for abatement. There was no specific number of years requested for tax abatement. We have not issued tax abatements for more than 5 years. So we utilized a 5-year abatement term and looked at 4 different scenarios for abatements. If we abated 100% per year for 5 years, it'd be a $45,000 total cost. Then we looked at breaking it down by percentages, 100%, 80%, 60, 40, 20, $27,000 for the 5 years. 2 years at 100%, a year at 60, 1 at 40, 1 at 20 was $28,800. The last one we looked at was 2 years at 100%, then 80, 60, 40, which was a total of a $34,200 abatement per year. There's at least one representative here from Bayer Crop. If you would like to have somebody speak on their behalf.
Well, this time we'll just take comments from commissioners.
Well, I would like to hear from Bayer first, and I'll talk about what our committee, but I'd like to let them.
Okay, any other questions from, not anybody from the audience want to speak on Bayer's app?
Go ahead. Question. I'm Steve Bussey. I work for Bear Crop Science.
Why don't you come up here and have the chair with us?
I'm Steve Bussey. I work for Bear Crop Science, and I will be at this site.
Okay.
So we've been, Bear has been on this side of the river. They came from North Dakota with the previous site. That site over there does primary crop research, testing, that type of thing. Plus there's a breeding site over there. We are trait development, so we're a little bit different. We're not even allowed to be on the other site. We have rules for when we can go from the trait development site or to that site. We will currently have 4 full-time equivalents by the end of the next week. And this last year we had 7 intern type people, part-time people that were hired locally.
Okay.
I don't know, do you want details on what we do exactly?
We'll probably have questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, since we haven't done this for a while, as Tim said, I just want to remind the group, and I don't think that Commissioner Mojo was on the commission the last time we went through this process. So when we set up the EDA and for these subsidies, we worked together with quite a few different folks to come up with criteria, including the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Authority, to come up with this point system to determine first if they qualify. And obviously, as you see, based on these numbers, they meet the, I think it was 100 points they needed?
100 points is the
minimum. And so they came in with a score of 160 based on the number of jobs and the, so you make the qualifications from that standpoint. As it as it relates to what we've done in the past, and this is kind of where our committee focused on, we had a business, as Tim mentioned, in Hawley that was significantly larger in terms of value and created more jobs. And basically for them, we offered the scenario 2, and we didn't really think that we should go beyond what we did for those folks in Hawley. So the recommendation for the business subsidy policy would be scenario 2, which is a 100% in year 1, 80% in year 2, 60% in year 3, 40 in year 4, and 20 in year 5 for total subsidy savings, that would be $27,000. That's been what's been recommended by our subsidy committee to this group, and Mr. Chairman, I would give it back to you for discussion.
Okay, any questions?
I don't know if that's, just to give you some background as to why we're recommending what we recommended. I think it's important for you to know that, so.
All right. Everybody okay?
I just have a statement. I think it would be a valuable resource to add to the village of Sabin, so I look forward to having that in there.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close our hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it's the responsibility of the EDA board, which is the county board, to recommend to the county board.
We got to open up the meeting again.
No, we're still in the EDA meeting.
Okay.
And I want to do this as part of the EDA.
Okay.
The EDA, we as a EDA board, it's kind of, EDA board is supposed to recommend to the county board
Very good, okay.
its action. We happen to be one and the same, so I'm going to be making a recommendation that the EDA board supports the scenario two, and that we as an EDA board support that and recommend it to the county board for approval.
Very good, okay.
It is.
Okay. All in favor of that motion? Aye. Okay, very good.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close the EDA meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move we reconvene our county board meeting.
Second. Okay, we got a motion to open up the meeting again. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, here we are. Now,
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we agree to the EDA's findings on the scenario two subsidy for the new development from Bayer Crop Science.
I'll second that motion.
okay. I think we just set a record for new motions in a matter of a minute. Okay. Any further discussion on that?
I want to just agree with Commissioner Mojo that this is, thank you for choosing Clay County and the Sabin area to conduct your business. I think it's,
Thank you.
Look forward to having business with you. Okay, we got a motion to approve this abatement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you for being part of the community.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Mr. Chairman, while we're switching here, we got, Darren, do you want to mention what?
Kathy came back and requested that the consent agenda that was moved to the board agenda today, that be put on next week's regular agenda. The person that can talk to that subject is not available at this time, so she'd like to move it to next week.
Okay. We'll move that to next week's agenda then. With that, we go into Mr. Overbowl and his sidekick, Eric.
Good morning.
I like to call my right-hand man.
Oh, okay, excuse me, I used the wrong verbiage there.
You have to sit on your right.
Okay, very good. Okay, Dave, we got, first of all, we're going to be talking about the 12th Avenue project that you got going on with Moorhead.
Yeah, our first item on our agenda is the approval of an MOU between the county and the city of Moorhead for the construction of 12th Avenue to include turning the new half-mile that they're constructing, as well as the west half-mile that was constructed when the Horizon School was built 10-plus years ago. Eric and I have been meeting and working with the city of Moorhead for a little over a year We were involved in the design and the bid of the project. Bids came in real favorable, and I believe the city of Moorhead did approve those bids about a week ago. The whole time, we've been trying to work with them on some sort of reasonable cost share that the county could contribute to the project. We did not contribute on the first or the west half mile that was built years ago. That was just taken on by the city when they built Horizon, so we did not have a cost share in that piece. They did were hoping that we would cost share in this one. So we kind of been working with our highway committee, and what we took a look at was what a comparable county road section would be in this area. And we just had a recent project a couple miles north on County Road 18, so we used those bid numbers. We used the actual width that we would build if we were to come through there based on traffic, which is how we design and build our roads. So that number came to about $500,000. The city was in agreement with that, and Eric kind of put together the MOU, and he run it by this engineering department, and they seemed in favor of it. And the only big question that we really didn't get completely ironed out with our highway committee was maybe the length of the payment. Eric has a couple different scenarios that he worked with the county auditor on, and I guess our recommendation, based on what we think our highway department budget could handle, would be, is the 10-year, is that correct, Eric?
Yep.
And Eric put together on the little page that you got there, it shows 5, 10, 20, and 25. Previously, we did kind of talk with highway committee about maybe matching the bond length, term length that the city's looking at, which would be 25 years. As you can see, on a $500,000 principal, we would have a little over $215,000 plus in interest. We thought we could probably get along with more along the lines of a 10-year payback. For the total interest on that would be $86,000. The annual impact to our budget would be $58,615. And I think the question, I guess, I'm expecting to hear would be is how are you going to absorb that in your budget? And we don't have all that worked out, but I think what we'd like to propose is some sort of a split between using some of the maintenance dollars that we have, and then we do have the intergovernmental payment that we already are making payments to the city for on previous projects. Maybe there could be a little increase in that. So it would be a little increase to my levy, and then absorb the rest with maintenance dollars. It's kind of what we're recommending at this time.
Okay. Got any questions for Dave on that project?
I make a comment. I know that our committee had suggested that we go along with payments for the term of the bond, but I see that they obviously included this with a lot of other projects. Their bond, I don't think they would have gone for a 25-year bond on something small like this. So I do agree with you that it's you know, again, it depends on the bond rate.
True.
You know, because over time it's but I have a tendency to agree with you that for our share of that, it probably isn't worth us putting that over 25 years and having that additional.
And I think Lori was working with the city's financial group, and they figured the bond rate is real close to 3%. Is that great?
Yep,
Right
over
there?
25 years, yep.
Okay, then. Need a motion to do this, I guess?
The current agreement that we sent out is the 10-year, has the 10-year schedule on it, so.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes.
offer one comment? The second whereas in the memorandum of understanding, it calls the road in question a county highway, number 74. Could we change that to county road just to make it consistent with the rest of the document, please?
Take the 74 off?
Nope, the highway needs to be changed to road.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's been reviewed and it's accurate to form and content.
I'd move, no, did we have a motion?
Not yet.
I would move approval with the suggested correction.
Okay, we got a motion to approve this
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passed.
Item number 2 is an amendment to a previously approved limited use permit. This is for the TAP project, or the Transportation Alternatives Project down in Barnesville that the county is sponsoring on behalf of the city down there. What this really is the city decided that there was one ped ramp that they'd like to add on the very west side of the project, on the west side of Trunk Highway 9. So in order to add that one ped ramp, they being the MnDOT, thought we should put a little amendment together approving that. So essentially, all this document is adding one ped ramp on the very west side of the project.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Any further discussion? Or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then we got a construction update.
Yeah, I thought maybe, if Eric, you want to run through some of the projects? We just give you a little update. We did finish, or just about finished, all the work out on Wall Street. We'll touch a little bit on that one, and we have a couple other projects just to give you a little update on things and how things turned out.
Yep, so as most of you know, most of our projects are wrapped up. I think the only thing remaining is just 2 township box culverts, and working in Holly Township. County Road 95 is obviously open to traffic. We do have some punch list items remaining. They still have some ditch work to clean up, basically, once it dries up. Casat 2 is obviously open, and that project, actually, we underran on some quantities, which we can cover in the end here. Casat 6 is open to traffic now. And then Wall Street, we can kind of go over some of the changes that we had on that project. Do you want me to touch on that, Dave? Or?
I guess I can. Just give you a little update on the County Road, or the Wall Street project anyway. We did, after the paving got done, there was a little lift there. Kevin, I don't know if you noticed that up there, if you're up there. On overlay projects, sometimes they get a little steep right on the ends. In order to rectify that, we felt we should put some black dirt and seating and shoulder on that. It's a little over a mile project. The work order quote from the contractor was about $20,000. Thought it was a little steep, so I met Eric and our inspector. We went up there and took a look at it, and I seen what they were talking about. Back in 2000 and either 02 or 03, we did an overlay just south of Holly on County Road 31, and we did not do the shouldering work. And I remember that's within a couple years when I started. Pretty steep and dangerous, and at that time I felt we should have did something. I was the assistant, and we didn't. So I felt like this was a good idea. In order to counter this increase of the contract, we did also underrun a little bit on the asphalt paving up there, about $10,000. So net increase to this contract will be about $10,000 for that shouldering work.
Doesn't that help stabilize it too, though, from possibly
Yep.
just breaking it?
Exactly. Yeah, it'll kind of tie it together on the point.
Yep. It'll look nice for, a lot of them are people's front yards too, so for
Right.
mowing and stuff, it'll look nice. And also you won't have that vertical drop for traffic too. So it'll look nice and it'll improve safety, so.
And then we did have one other complete change to the contract a little bit. As we get up there and start doing some work, we did realize that the previous phases of the flood mitigation project left a little piece on County Road 96 that wasn't constructed or overlaid. So everything up there is brand new for the most part, except for about a, 500 or 700 foot piece. Just at the intersection of County Road 3, 96 and Wall Street, there was one little section there. So we did put an overlay on that piece that goes towards Brentwood there. Turned out really nice, but it was, remember what the increase was for that?
Yep, the mill and overlay of that segment was about 12,000. So the crew was right there and they just swung up and did that part of the intersection.
So I think the bid came in about $490,000, so it'll be about an additional 20 on top of that. The one thing that Eric touched on a little bit on our other project on County Road 2, we were about $40,000 under on that project. So I think cumulative wise on all the state aid projects, we should see a net decrease. So yeah, so it's good.
Dave, how about our County Road 1 project that ties in with the flood mitigation plan?
Yeah, I believe the paving work is mostly done on it. They're doing a little bit of ditch work left. Does that sound right, Eric?
Yep, a little shouldering, topsoil, and then we'll actually be doing the signing on that project. So
Yeah, they didn't really have the signing in there, so they're going to hire our county sign department to order and install the signs. That way we kind of get them put where we want them. But for the most part, it's real close to being done. I would think within the next couple of weeks, barring some of
Do
that
they have an
moisture we had.
Expected opening date for that road then?
You know, I don't know if it's been pushed back so much. I haven't heard a current opening date.
It's gotta be
Months
soon,
ago, it
though.
was supposed to be Labor Day weekend or so is what they thought, but obviously things didn't progress. I think they had quite a few issues up there with utilities and with some landowners during the project. They relocated the road and pushed it closer to some of the homes, and they run into some issues, but so far it looks pretty good. I don't know if you've seen the pond. Geez, there's a ginormous storm pond up there. It's
Is it big
massive.
pond?
Yeah.
Is the pile of stuff still there?
I think it probably is. Yeah.
Where's that going?
I'll have to ask. I don't know exactly where Carlson's got the plan for that.
It's not staying there.
No, can't imagine. Maybe a lot of that's supposed to slope on the side of that pond too.
No.
I don't know if it's black dirt or not. Maybe they'll kind of waste some of that right on site.
You maybe just send me a message.
Okay.
Just a little bit on a different subject, when you were talking about signage, I just noticed, probably I just didn't see it, but when I go off 75 and go on to 18, I didn't see no speed limit signs there.
Yes.
So,
I was going to ask that too.
you know, are there any,
We don't.
did I miss it, or we
No,
don't sign?
there's none on that section, I guess. I did have a discussion with our sign department about that, and he told me the way he typically signs things, most non-divided county roads are assumed 55 miles an hour. There was a concern, I think, from a resident that lives along there. We can put one up on each side. If that's something that you guys think we should do.
You know, because since we got 55, so we got 60, and that's a very good road, you know.
Maybe
You know.
assume that one 60 as well. It's
Yeah,
like,
and just-
chunk highway.
I think we should sign it.
Okay. Not a problem at all. Couple signs.
Okay, anything further?
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks for the updates. Anybody else got something? No, we're adjourned.